Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome to lecture number 26 of the course Introduction to Computer and Programming. In this course, first we will write a program that uses a structure to store a record of a book, and then I will give you the introduction of C preprocessors. We will see macro expansion, file inclusion and conditional compilation under C Preprocessor Directive topic. In the previous lecture, we have seen pointer to a structure and how we can access element through this pointer, dynamic memory allocation for a structure, passing a structure to a function. And in this we have seen that we can pass individual element to a structure, as well as we can pass entire structure by value to a function, as well as we can pass an address of a structure to a function. In today's lecture, first we will write a program that uses a structure to store the book information input by the user, and then we come to the C preprocessor directive. We have seen one directive very frequently in each program that we have write until now, and that is #include preprocessor directive. And you guys should know at the moment that what is the meaning of #include. It means that include the file before compiling this program. जो भी आप फाइल का नाम मेंशन करेंगे include #include में #include less than sign, name of the file, for example stdio, and greater than sign. So it includes stdio.h file, this is a header file, before compiling that program. That is one of the directive. So in this C preprocessor directive, there are various kind of C preprocessor directive, and we will see among them we will see macro expansion, file inclusion and conditional compilation. So they are most frequently used. Let's write the example program. First, let's understand the program statement. It says that create a structure to specify data on student given below, and the data you want to store for each student is roll number, name, department, course and year of joining. This is the data you want to store, and create a variable of that structure, input value from the user and then display those values. So roll number is most probably an integer value, name is a string, department is also a string, course is also a string, year of joining is, we can say, an integer value, and we include one of the floating point value, that is GPA. So that is most probably a floating point value, so we include that thing as well in this structure. Okay, let's go and write the program for this. And before writing the program, we have to write the function definition of the structure. Okay, let's make that definition global. So character, first of all integer, roll number, (15 byte हम ले लेते हैं character के लिए, name के लिए, and then character, department, 15 byte for department, and then float CGPA, semester CGPA, and then what are the other field? These are course and year of joining. Course and year of joining is integer, year of joining, that is short for year of joining. So this is our structure, that is the structure definition. Now so let's declare a variable of that structure, struct student s. So now s is a variable whose type is struct student, and now we are going to input some values, printf enter roll number, scanf, type of the input is integer, and the memory where to write that input is s dot roll number again printf scanf pair. So let me copy this pair in printf scanf because we have to write this for each. Enter name, and then the scanf. Not in the scanf, for name we have to use get s dot name, right? Then enter department, that is also using get s. Maybe they write computer science department, so using get s we will be able to input a string that has some space. Then enter GPA, enter CGPA, and in the scanf type of the CGPA is float, and this is and s dot CGPA, and then enter course. A lot of things, lot of data for each student, and let's use get s for the string s dot course. Then we can write a function, in fact, that is, let's say, input function, and we pass the maybe the address of that structure, and that function is just taking input these values. I will show you later in this program, but first we run the simple version of that program. Enter year of joining, and that is integer value %d, comma, and s dot year of joining. Okay, these values are input. Now let's print those values. Print f /n roll number is equal to %d /n, and then name is equal to name is %s /n, department is %s. Now s dot roll number, comma, s dot name, comma, s dot department. So ये values complete होगी. Let's write the other values in the second printf. KCG I press some key, overwriting mode is on. Okay, CGPA /n CGPA, that is %d, and course /n course is %s, okay, and then /n year of joining, that is some D. Now we can write S dot CGPA comma S dot course comma S dot year of joining. ठीक है, हमने इन दोनों को प्रिंट भी इन सब स्ट्रक्चर की वैल्यूज को प्रिंट भी कर लिया है. दिस दैट इज द इनपुट and that is where we are printing those values. ठीक है, so let's compile and execute. So enter roll number. Roll number is, let's say, 108. Okay, the problem is again the same problem, that this is an integer and this is a character, so we have to flush the buffer, right? So we have to use a flush over here. Before inputting the character value, use a flush. And a flush over here, a flush over here. So जितने भी character हैं उनसे input से पहले मैं a flush use कर रहा हूँ. Name is, let's say, Jamal Khan. Department is computer science. GPA is 3.85. Course is programming in C. Year of joining is, let's say, 2012. So it display me seems like some problem has been occurred, and that problem is usually we are trying to access the memory that is not allocated for our program. Let's see what is the problem here. So this should be 20. Let's increase the size. Seems like the problem is here. Increase the size. So this is okay, this is integer, string input, and then we have floating point input, CGPA, string input, integer, roll number, S dot roll number, integer, string, department is string, CGPA is float, and then we have a string, course is string, year of joining is again integer. Let's compile and execute it. Roll number is 108, name is Jamal Khan, department is computer science, CGPA is 3.85, and course is C programming. Year of joining is 2012. So display me all the things. So previously the problem was I think that for computer science string we allocate 15 byte, but the total memory taken by the computer science string is 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 and null characters. 17 bytes should be allocated. Now I changed the size of the string, so the output is now perfectly fine. Now let's say that we want to store the data for 3 students. Then we so this is a very big main function, right? This should be a display function. We know how to write a display function, and this should be an input function. Okay, so we must have a input function first, right? And we are passing the address, and that is the most efficient way. We are passing the address of the structure जहाँ पर input function करेगा क्या? Input function करेगा क्या? Input function takes the input from the user and store it in this address. So the purpose of input function is to take the input from the user. ये तमाम inputs, roll number, name, department, CGPA, courses, year of joining, and we'll store it in this memory address, in this structure. And then we have a display function. Again we are passing the address. That is the most, again, the efficient way. And what it does, it will display the content of this string, right? So now let me cut this thing, Control X. Now see, our main function is very small now. then we write void input struct student static s. Now let's see, so ये तमाम आपने स्टेटमेंट सीधे लिख दी. अब एड्रेस क्या होगा इसका, s arrow. Now s is a pointer here in input function. S is a pointer. This pointer is only visible in input function. This s is different from this s. ये जो s है, this is a variable of type struct student, and its scope is limited to the main function because it is declared in main function. But this is a pointer of type struct student, and it is declared inside input function, so its scope is limited to the input function. Okay. By writing this function, we are making our job very easy, in fact. Now we have a separate function. Okay, perfect. And then we have to write the definition for the display function. Void display struct student static p, let's say, or static s, whatever name you want to write. यहाँ पर हम किसी तरह से आउटपुट अब लिखना चाहते हैं किसी मेथड के थ्रू. लेट्स से /n /t 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 %f. now /t %s /t %d. I hope you are understanding this thing. Now s, p, let's write it s. Now s is a pointer here of display function, and हम इस pointer की values display कर रहे हैं, so we have to use this arrow operator. Right? Okay, now let's compile this program and see how it executes. Now this is our main function. That's it. Input function is used to take input in this structure, and display function is used to display the values. But let's write the prototype of these function at the beginning, before the main function, and after the definition. Void display struct student static. Let's compile it. Okay, and execute it. So roll number is 108, name is Jamal Khan, department is computer science, CGPA is 3.5, course is C programming, year of joining is 2012. So this is the data. This is one record. ठीक है? So now it works perfectly fine. Seems like it works perfectly fine. थोड़ी सी आउटपुट को फॉर्मेट कर रहा हूँ ताकि वो 2 लाइन्स में मच जाए. Now let's say if we have to input the record of 3 students, then we need a for loop, integer I, for I is equal to 0, I less than 3, I plus plus, and then we are passing the address of s of I. So इसमें input होती जाएगी, input लेते जाएंगे वो, and here we write something to tell the student, printf enter record for student number person D, and this person D is comma I plus 1. For the display we have the same strategy, control V, अब 3 स्टूडेंट्स के रिकॉर्ड इनपुट करने और तीनों रिकॉर्ड डिस्प्ले हो जाएंगे. ठीक है, लेट्स चेक आउट अवर प्रोग्राम. सो एंटर रिकॉर्ड फॉर स्टूडेंट नंबर 1. रोल नंबर इज 105, नेम इज नजम, डिपार्टमेंट इज कंप्यूटर साइंस, CGPA is 3.85, course is C programming, year of joining is 2012. Enter record for student number 2, because हमने शुरू में कहा था let's say now change the program so that it can enter record for 3 students. Let's say so 106, name is Fahad Khan, department is physics, let's say department is chemistry, CGPA is 3.75, course is also let's say chemistry, year of joining is 2010. So now enter record for student number 3. Let's say the roll number is 107, name is Jamal Ahmed, department is again computer science, CGPA is 3.95, course is databases, and year of joining let's say 2011. Now it display the record. This is the roll number, name, and this is the department, CGPA, course, and year of joining. So record for student number 1, this is it display the record, and record for student number 2, it display the record, and record for student number 3. Now let's modify this program. This program is limited for to input only 3 records. Okay, now let's modify this program so that we can ask the user that how many records you want to input. ठीक है, अब यूजर से पूछते हैं कि कितने स्टूडेंट्स के रिकॉर्ड इनपुट करना चाहते हो, एंड देन वी एलोकेट मेमोरी यूजिंग malloc function, dynamic memory. ठीक है, and then we start taking input. Now let's modify this program. This is a pointer, this is a number n, printf enter how many record you want to enter. Right, let's take this input in scanf function, %d comma and s, not in s, in n actually. Now let's say we allocate the memory, and so this time we have to write s is equal to, so the malloc, now the bytes size memory का कितनी memory allocate करनी है. Here we have to tell the number of bytes, so we have to allocate n elements or n structures, and this is the size of the structure. So we use a size of function to calculate the size of the struct student को साइज बता देगा। इस तरह के कितने एलोकेट करने हैं, n एलोकेट करने हैं, n could be 1, n could be 2, n could be 3, right? And malloc function return a pointer of void static, and you have to typecast that pointer into the same type that we have s, ठीक है, बिकॉज आपको पता है कि इस मेमोरी लोकेशन पे किस टाइप की वैल्यू स्टोर होगी। तो वैल्यू स्टोर इज struct student static, राइट। सो यूज़र ने n इनपुट कर दिया, n में कोई वैल्यू आ गई है। सो n जितने struct student एलिमेंट्स के लिए मेमोरी एलोकेट हो जाएगी, malloc फंक्शन एलोकेट कर देगा, एंड इट विल रिटर्न यू एन एड्रेस एंड यू स्टोर दैट starting address in s. Now the loop will continue n times. Similarly, the display loop will continue n times, and here you will pass the memory address, and that is now s plus I, and here is the same. So s is the starting address plus I. So when s is, let's say, 500, so s plus I, if value of I is 0, then it is 500, and 500 is the starting address for this memory location जो कि malloc का function यहाँ पर allocate करेगा, right? So if s is 1, then it means that point to the memory where the next value of struct student type starts, ठीक है। so इसमें 1 ऐड नहीं करेगा, 4 ऐड नहीं करेगा, इसमें जितना साइज है struct student का उतनी एडिशन परफॉर्म होगी बाइट्स की, ठीक है, उतने बाइट्स ऐड हो जाएंगे s में, और दैट विल बी पास टू इनपुट फंक्शन, राइट। एंड इनपुट फंक्शन वैसे ही रहेगा, इसको चेंज करने की जरूरत नहीं है, बिकॉज यू आर पासिंग द एड्रेस, एंड डिस्प्ले फंक्शन इज द सेम बिकॉज यू आर पासिंग द मेमोरी एड्रेस, एंड हियर यू हैव अ पॉइंटर। नाउ लेट्स, but when the program exit, we have to use a free function to free that memory space. So we have to free that, so we have to pass the address, and it will free all this memory. Let's compile this program, okay, and execute it. Now it says how many records you want to enter. Let's say I want to enter only 2 records. Now display the message, enter record for student number 1, 102. So name is Najam Malik, department is computer science, CGPA is 3.88, course is C programming, year of joining is 2010. Enter record for student number 2, because we want to enter only 2 records, so it should say enter record number of student 2, and roll number is, let's say, 103, name is Jamal Ahmed, department is computer science, CGPA is 3.89, course is C programming, year of joining is 2012. Now it just display all those records. So this is record number 1, and this is record number 2. So now you have seen the same program using dynamic memory allocation. कि अब हम यूज़र से इनपुट ले रहे हैं कि कितने रिकॉर्ड आप इनपुट करना चाह रहे हो और उतनी मेमोरी एलोकेट कर दी है, ठीक है, एंड दैट इज़ मोस्ट कन्वीनियंट अप्रोच। instead of declaring a struct student type array, let's say of 100 elements, and we display the message how many records you want to enter, and if he says 3, okay, we have declared 100 size array, and we can use only 3 of structure from them, and rest of them is the memory wastage. Instead of using that approach, you can allocate memory dynamically. That means कि जितनी memory चाहिए run time पे आप उतनी memory allocate कर लें, ठीक है। Similarly, you can write a function, display है, input है, you can write a function maybe that could search a particular record from this structure, right? For example, let's say write that function printf Let's say we call the function search, we pass it structure pointer, that is s, and number of elements in that structure pointer. 2 elements है, 2 elements pass कर देंगे. Now let's write the definition of that structure. Void search, ये search करके बताएगा whether that particular name is present in the list or not. कौन सी list? ये जो list है हमारे पास, इसमें 2 रिकॉर्ड हो सकते हैं, 1 हो सकता है, 10 हो सकते हैं, 100 हो सकते हैं. ठीक है. So we input some record and then we try to search. Struct student static s comma integer n. Name to search, या let's say name हम एक just एक simple एक array declare कर लेते हैं. Size is 30 and we want enter name, enter name to search, then get s में आपने name input ले लिया, name. ठीक है. Then you have a loop for I is equal to 0, I less than n, I plus plus. So in this loop what you will do is you will have an if statement, if strcmp I string compare I is a function. String compare function is a case sensitive function. It compares the string. If the first string contains capital A and small string contains small a, then the string compare says that these are not the same string, but for string compare I they are the same. So if it encounter capital A or small a, for string compare I they both character in the string are the same. Name comma s plus I arrow, and what we are going to access, we are going to access the name in that structure, and if there is equal to 0 then printf record found and then when it come outside the loop then we say record found and we break the loop. लूप को ब्रेक भी कर देगा. So जब लूप को ब्रेक करेगा तो उस टाइम पे कोई i इंक्रीमेंट भी नहीं होगा, लूप जस्ट ब्रेक हो जाएगा, कंट्रोल विल कम आउटसाइड द लूप. सो इन आउटसाइड द लूप वी हैव द कंडीशन इफ i is equal to n plus if I is equal to n, if that condition is true, then this means that it haven't find any record because it executes the loop completely and this condition becomes false. जब ये condition false होगी तो उस टाइम I की value n के बराबर होगी. ठीक है. Then printf, we can write printf over here, printf record not found /n. all right, so that is the search function. And you can write, let's say, replace function कि इस नाम को इस नाम से replace कर दो, right? So बहुत सारे function इसमें हो सकते हैं. So let's write the prototype of that function. Search struct student static comma integer. Okay, let me compile and execute. Okay, I'm getting error over here, and that error is I didn't define I is undeclared, so integer I. Okay, I just want to enter only 2 records. So enter record number 1, 103 roll number. Oops, there's a mistake. Let's run it again. So only 2 records. Enter record number 1, 102. Name Najam Malik. Department Computer science. CGPA is, let's say, 3.56. Course is programming. Year of joining is 2010. And record number 2 is 103 roll number. Name is Jamal Ahmed. Department is computer science. CGPA is 3.67. Course is programming, same. Year of joining is 2012. So enter name to search. Oops, so that it didn't ask the input. That is strange. Okay, so that is the input. We have to use flush std in over here. Now it will prompt for the input here. ठीक है. ओके, मैं सर्च फंक्शन को 2 दफ़ा कॉल करता हूँ. एक दफ़ा मैं नेम सही दूंगा और एक दफ़ा मैं नेम ऐसा दूंगा जो कि उस लिस्ट में मौजूद नहीं होगा. ठीक है. लेट्स सी द रिजल्ट ऑफ बोथ ऑफ द फंक्शन. 2 रिकॉर्ड्स, 102 Malik Najam, department computer science. CGPA is 3.78. Course is programming. Year of joining is 2011. Roll number is 103. Name is Ahmed Ali. Department is computer science. CGPA is 3.45 and course is programming. Year of joining is 2012. Okay, now it said me, it display me the 2 records. Okay, मैंने इसको नई लाइन में स्लैश यहाँ पे नहीं लिखा. Now it called the search function. और search function में enter name to search. So first name is if you want to see Najam, Malik Najam, and second name is Ahmed Ali. Okay, let me write the first name, MALIKNAJAM. So it said me record found. Yes, the record is there. Now the second name is Ahmed Khan. It didn't display the message. Strange. Let's see why it didn't display the message. So value of I is incremented if it is 2. So 0 1 I is 2. It won't be executed. So 2 is equal to 2. It's strange that why it didn't display this message. Let's say n is 1, then it should execute 1 time. Value of I is 0. 0 is less than 1. Condition is true. It executes the loop. Okay, this should be outside the loop. That is the, yes, this should be outside the loop right over here. Now let's check the program again. 1 record of the student, roll number is 103, name is Jamal Ahmed, department is computer science, CGPA is 3.95. that is very difficult to obtain. Course is programming in C. Year of joining is 2012. Okay, display me the record, the whole record, and display me the message enter name to search. Let's say the name is Jamal Khan. Now displaying the message record not found because the record contains the name Jamal Ahmed. Now दोबारा से हमने search का function call किया था, चूंकि 2 दफ़ा call किया था. Now the second name I input it correctly, Jamal D. Display me the message record found. That's it. Okay, now you can write multiple functions like replace record and modify record and etc. Let's go back to the slide. Now preprocessor directives. Preprocessor directives are the special instruction to the C compiler, and preprocessor directives are resolved before compilation of the program. and each preprocessor directive begins with hash and can be replaced anywhere in the program. So usually until now we have seen the preprocessor directive, that is hash include, and we place it at the beginning of our file, source code file, and resolving that preprocessor means that before the program is compiled, this preprocessor is executed. This means that if it is hash include, that is the file inclusion preprocessor, we have to include that file whose name is mentioned. So if we mention stdio.h file, then that file should be included in that source file, and then it will pass to the compilation process. ठीक है, so आपका source file है और source file से पहले तमाम के तमाम content stdio.h के आ जाएंगे, या std या string.h के आ जाएंगे, या math.h के आ जाएंगे, जो भी फाइल्स हैं, हेडर फाइल या जो भी फाइल आपने लिख ली उसके कंटेंट आ जाएंगे, and then they will be passed to the compilation process. So following preprocessor directive are used mostly, which we will see today, that is macro expansion, file inclusion, and conditional compilation. Now what is a macro expansion? So this is a program where we have a defined macro. So this is also called a macro, right? So this is a macro definition, and before compiling this program, all the preprocessor will be resolved. So in the preprocessor stage, after the preprocessor stage, so जहाँ जहाँ पर प्रोग्राम में अपर आ रहा है, UPPER अपर आ रहा है, उसको 15 से वो रिप्लेस कर देगा. So upper is coming is over here in the for loop, so it will be replaced by the value 50. So this is the code that will be passed to the compiler. There will be no preprocessor in this C code, right? And in this macro definition, this is a definition of macro whose name is upper. So this is a macro call in the source code, and what is the macro expansion? Macro expansion is the value 15. ठीक है, so जहाँ जहाँ पर macro call होगा वहाँ पर macro expand हो जाएगा pre-processing phase में. So if the macro is called over here in the pre-processing phase, the expansion value is here. So this value 15 is actually the macro expansion value. This is another example. You remember these operators, this double AND operator, that is a logical AND operator, and this is a OR operator, logical OR operator. You can say, okay, I define a macro AND and I define a macro OR. You write the macros usually in capital letter. Why? Because to make it differentiate between the variable used in the program and the macro. For example, in the previous slide, upper can be a variable name as well, but usually it is a convention that you write the macro name in upper letters. ठीक है, आप कैप्स लेटर में उसका नेम लिखते हैं, and you write the variable name in small letter. But ये hard and fast rule नहीं है. You can write a macro with a lowercase letter, and you can write a variable name with uppercase letter. So जहाँ जहाँ पर अब ये अगर convention बन गया, that is the way to write the code, that whenever there is a macro, you write it in the upper case, you could write it in the capital case. Then when you go through in your source code, it will be very easy for you to determine that this is a macro, right? Because all the macro in my program are uppercase macro. So that's why you write in a capital letter. So in this program, so wherever you have and or, and will be replaced by double AND sign. Here is the AND, it will be replaced by double AND sign, and here is the OR, that will be replaced by the logical OR sign, and then it will pass to the compiler. ठीक है, कंपाइलर को जब रिजॉल्व हो जाएंगे तमाम मैक्रोज, आप इसको जो दूर कर लेंगे, प्री प्रोसेसर डायरेक्टिव को ख़त्म कर लेंगे, तब वो प्रोग्राम आप कंपाइलर को देंगे फॉर द कंपाइलेशन. So a defined directive could be used to replace a condition. For example, we have defined a directive ARANGE, arrange. ठीक है, एक रेंज हम बता रहे हैं, and range is a greater than 25 and a less than 50. Now this is again a macro because it's capital, so I know this is a macro, and this should be defined before this macro, so it is defined above it. So hash define and, और and की जगह आप and लगा देंगे. So first compiler resolve the first macro, wherever there is and sign, it will put this double and sign. ठीक है, तो जहाँ जहाँ पर एंड आ रहा है उसकी जगह ये डबल एंड का साइन लगा देगा, सो डबल एंड साइन विल कम ओवर हियर एंड देन इट विल रिजॉल्व दिस मैक्रो जहाँ पर अ रेंज लिखा आ रहा है, ए रेंज लिखा आ रहा है, ए रेंज इज ओवर हियर इन द इफ कंडीशन, सो इट विल प्लेस दिस थिंग in the if condition here and then pass the code for the compilation. ठीक है, a defined directive could be used to replace an entire C statement. For example, you define a macro found whose value is printf virus found. That is a C statement. Printf virus found and semicolon, that is a complete C statement. So you define this macro, and so before compiling this program, it look for the macro found in the preprocessor phase. So you write the source code, and when you press the compile button, the first step is the preprocessor step. Your source code goes to the preprocessor and it resolve all the preprocessor, means that it remove all the preprocessor. अब remove इसको करने का मतलब ये है कि जहाँ जहाँ पर प्रोग्राम में found आ रहा है उसकी जगह ये printf लिख देगा, लिटरली लिख देगा, और उसके बाद आपके सोर्स कोड में चेंज नहीं आएगी. इट विल मेक अनदर फाइल एंड राइट जहाँ जहाँ पर फाउंड लिखा आ रहा है उस जगह पर ये लिख देगा printf virus found. ठीक है, सो फॉर एग्जांपल जहाँ पर आपके पास लिखा आ जाएगा printf virus found एंड देन इट विल फॉरवर्ड द कोड टू द कंपाइलर फॉर द कंपाइलेशन प्रोसेस. नाउ लेट्स सी मैक्रोज विद आर्गुमेंट. सो वी हैव डिफाइंड अ मैक्रो एरिया and the argument to the macro is x, and what is x? 3.14 multiplied by x multiplied by x. So that is like a function call. ठीक है, you can write a function area whose parameter is x, and you can have a formula in that function and you can print that value or return that value. So it's most likely the function call. So what will happen? So it will look for the area x, so area r1. So instead of area r1, it will write 3.14 multiplied by r1 multiplied by r1. Now here you are calling area r2. So here it will write 3.14 multiplied by r2 multiplied by r2 and then pass the code to the compiler. So in the preprocessor phase, it resolve all the macros, and this will be the code that will pass to the compiler. 3.14 multiplied by r1 multiplied by r1, right? Multiline macros. So this is a multiline macros. The first macro is put line and the second macro is put line n, and that has the argument as well. So in the program, it will first remove the put line with this for loop. So this is the multiline. Whenever you have a multiline, you put a backward slash, ठीक है, आप डाल देंगे, and then you write another line. So this is the first line, backward slash, another line, backward slash, another line, and the last line. In the last line there is no need to put the backward slash. ठीक है, now this is like a function. ठीक है, पूरा का पूरा एक function है. Put line की जगह क्या कोड आ जाएगा? It starts from this bracket and end over here, and for I is equal to 0, I is less than x की जगह यहाँ पर हम पुट लाइन में y भेज रहे हैं, so यहाँ पर y आ जाएगा. So ये प्रोग्राम कर रहा क्या है? First of all, it will print 10 static, right? Because this loop execute 10 times, and it will come over here, and then we have a printf statement, enter number, user enter any number, and then in put line n we will display n number of static. जो भी user number input किया था उतने ही static एक line में print कर देगा, and then print a new line and program exit. ठीक है, so for multiline macros you can write multiline macros, n number of lines in that macros, but on each line you have to write backward slash until you reach the last line, and where you don't need to write backward slash. ठीक है, now let's go to that program and execute it. This is the program. ये हमारा प्रोग्राम है. Okay, so ये ऐसे ही है जैसे आप पुट लाइन की जगह इसको कॉपी करें. Okay, let me save this file with another name file. Save as. So this is the other name for this file. ये ऐसे ही है जैसे अगर आप इसको फॉर एग्जाम्पल प्री प्रोसेसिंग का फेस करेगा क्या, प्री प्रोसेसिंग का फेस करेगा क्या कि वो इसको उठाएगा कंट्रोल सी एंड इट विल राइट इट ओवर हियर, सो आई को पहले डिफाइन होना चाहिए. अगर आई आपने यहाँ पर डिक्लेयर नहीं किया, इट विल गिव यू एन एरर दैट आई इज नॉट डिफाइन. ठीक है, सो लेट्स फर्स्ट रन इट बिफोर विदाउट रिजॉल्विंग प्री प्रोसेसर. ठीक है, सो लेट्स से मैंने आई यहाँ पे डिक्लेयर नहीं किया, तब क्या होगा, इट गिव मी एन एरर. एरर क्या है, आई अनडिक्लेयर, सो आई हैव टू यूज आई फर्स्ट. ठीक है, सो कंपाइलर को नहीं पता कि आपने मैक्रो डिफाइन किया हुआ क्या डिफाइन है, right? So you have to declare I over here. Then let's compile it. Okay, now it print 10 statics. Now it prompt me to input some number. Let's say I input 35 and it print 35 static. And then press any key to continue. So instead of writing this macro, I can write, let me comment out this macro. So what is the macro resolve preprocessor phase? In the preprocessor phase, it will write this for loop, control C over here, control V, and this for loop, control C over here, control V, but this X is actually Y. So this is the file after resolving preprocessors. ठीक है, सो ये एक फॉर का लूप है, 10 स्टैटिक प्रिंट कर रहा है. देन आपने कोई वैल्यू इनपुट ली y में और y टाइम्स फॉर का लूप को दोबारा रन किया और y टाइम्स स्टैटिक प्रिंट कर देगा स्क्रीन पर. सो दिस इज हाउ यू रिजॉल्व द प्री प्रोसेसर एंड इफ यू रन दिस प्रोग्राम it will have the same effect, right? Macros versus function. It seems that macro calls are like function calls. They are not really the same thing actually. In a macro call, the preprocessor replaces the macro template with its macro expansion. What does that mean? So this is a macro template and this is a macro expansion. So this printf, this statement is the macro expansion. So wherever it finds the macro call in the code, in the preprocessor phase, it will look the macro calls in the code, and wherever it finds the macro call, it will replace it with its expansion. For example, it found the macro call over here, found, right? So it in the preprocessor phase, this found will be replaced by its expansion, and its expansion is printf virus found semicolon. That is its expansion. In function call, control is transferred to the function and it does some processing, and then the control is returned back to the point जहाँ से वो function call किया गया था. That is a function call. So which one is better? When it is best to use macro with argument and when it is better to use a function? Usually macro makes the program run faster but increases the program size. Macro से program fast तो run होगा but program का size बढ़ जाएगा. क्यों? ऐसा क्यों है? We will see it. Whereas function makes the program smaller and compact and easy to understand that code as well. So for example, if we use macros 100 times, then 100 expansion goes in the source code 100 times before compilation process. So आपने 100 मैक्रोज यूज़ किए में 100 टाइम्स मैक्रो यूज़ किया हुआ है कोई, सो कोड एक्सपेंड होगा, वो तमाम के तमाम उनकी एक्सपेंशंस 100 टाइम्स सोर्स कोड में आएंगी. सो even the expansion is, let's say, 1 line, then it increases 100 line in the source code. But if a function is called 100 times, it will make same amount of the space in the program. But जब function call होगा, so control program wait करेगा, the control will be transferred to the function call, the function executes, and then the control will be transferred back. So ये जो control transfer होगा और control transfer back होगा, that will take some time. ठीक है, that's why जो macros हैं वो program को faster बना देते हैं. फास्टर क्यों बनाते हैं? बिकॉज इसमें फंक्शन कॉल नहीं होता, कंट्रोल को कहीं ट्रांसफर होने की जरूरत नहीं है. इट विल एग्जीक्यूट ऑल द स्टेटमेंट सिक्वेंशियली. ठीक है, बट द प्रोग्राम साइज इंक्रीजेस. So फंक्शन जो है वो प्रोग्राम साइज को स्मॉल ही रखता है, कॉम्पैक्ट रखता है, बिकॉज अगर फंक्शन 100 दफ़ा भी कॉल होगा उसकी डेफिनेशन एक ही दफ़ा लिखी जाएगी, राइट. So the conclusion is, if a macro is simple and smaller, then it can be used to avoid function call overhead. But if a macro size is larger, then it is better to use function. Now, file inclusion. This directive causes one file to be included in another file. Like we have hash include file name. So why we need it? So hash include file name, what it will do, it will include the file before compiling your program. So you usually write hash include stdio.h. It will include stdio. You can see this stdio.h file in your C directory, then dev C++ directory folder, and then there is an include folder that contains all the header file, and you can find stdio.h there. So it includes that file before compiling your program, your source code. Why we need it? It is good programming practice to keep different sections of the large program separate in the form of files. So these files are included at the beginning of the main function file. जिस program में आपके पास main function आ रहा है, that is the main program file, and you include all those parts of the file in your program. We will see that example of it. कि हमें एक प्रोग्राम बनाएंगे, लेट्स से हम एक प्रोग्राम बनाएंगे जिसमें एडिशन हो रही है, सब्ट्रैक्शन हो रही है, मल्टीप्लिकेशन हो रही है, डिवीजन हो रही है, एंड वी विल राइट द फंक्शन इन अ सेपरेट फाइल एंड वी इंक्लूड दैट फाइल इन अवर मेन फाइल. There are some functions and some macros definition that we need almost in all the program to write, that we write. For example, hash include stdio, standard input and output. So that is included in every program that you write. Ways to write include statement. So there are different ways. That is the first way, that you write the statement in the single quote. That is another way, you write the statement in less than and greater than sign, in between less than and greater than sign. So what does the first mean? That is double quote. This would look for the file name in the current folder. Current folder means जिस folder से आप अपना प्रोग्राम रन कर रहे हैं, जिस folder में आपकी वो .c फाइल सेव है, जिसमें आपने ये लिखा हुआ है hash include file name, वो इस फाइल नेम को सर्च करेगा उस folder के अंदर, and then in the include folder जो कि dev c का है, and this is the path of that folder, c:/c drive में dev -c++ एक फोल्डर होगा cpp के नाम से, देन उसके अंदर एक फोल्डर होगा include के नाम से, and you can find all those include file there. But with less than and greater than sign, this command would look for the file name in the include folder only. So अगर आप इस तरह से लिखेंगे, then this means that it has to look the file in the include folder, not in the current folder. So अगर आपने अपनी खुद से फाइल को बनानी है and you want that file to be included in your program, then you have to write it in the double quotes. Let's go and see the program, see the example program. Okay, so this is our program. We have a calculator.c, and let me show you the directory. We are including this file in the program, in our main program. That main program is a program that contains the main function, and we have two variables and three variables over here. We are inputting these two variables and we calling this function addition, subtraction, multiplication. So where are these functions actually? So these functions are in calculator.c file, and this is this file. This is a prototype of these functions, and these are addition, subtraction and multiplication function. You can even आप इसको further step पे भी लिख जा सकते हैं. You can write calculator.h file and you write all those functions there. ठीक है, that is also possible. Now let's compile this program. It will compile perfectly. आपने इसको सिंगल कोड के साथ, डबल कोड के साथ लिखना है. डबल कोड में आपने calculator.c लिखा है, so it will look for the calculator.c in the current directory, and let's see what is the current directory. So this is the folder example file inclusion, and this is our program.c, and this is calculator.c file. ठीक है, so calculator.c उसी फोल्डर के अंदर है जहां पर मेरे पास वो प्रोग्राम फाइल पड़ी है. ठीक है, compile and execute. Enter two integers 14 and 12. So it will perform addition, subtraction and multiplication. So आप एक और स्टेप भी फर्दर जा सकते हैं. You can write these things, control X, include calculator.h, put in double quotes, Control S, Control N, you create a new file, write the file that you want to include, standard IO file, and write the definitions. Okay, Control S, then you save it in the same folder, but now this is a header file, so you choose the save as type header file and write calculator.h. there's no need to write h, calculator. Okay, this is calculator.h. Go to the folder. Now this is the header file. You include that header file in this .c file, and then you include it in the main program file. Now let me compile this. Let's see. Okay, it compiles perfectly fine. Compile it. Okay, run it. 12 and 11. This is the result. Perfectly fine. Now conditional compilation. This allows to skip some part of the source code for compilation process. For example, general form, its general form is if, so hash sign is there because this is a macro, so hash is with every macro. If define, if def is if define macro name. If this macro is defined, then execute statement 1, statement 2, statement 3, and this is end if. This is the end of this if define. So it starts from here and ends over here, and if this macro is defined above in the program, it will execute these 3 statements. If it is not, it won't execute. So where would hash if define be used? To comment out some lines of code. For example, आपका अपने client के पास जाना है, and a client have given you the assignment and you want to show your program to the client, and you write some statements जो कि आप उसको शो नहीं करना चाह रहे या बाद में शो करना चाह रहे हैं, या वो स्टेटमेंट्स आप चाह रहे हैं कि मैं उनको काफ़ी सारी स्टेटमेंट्स हैं और मैं यूज़र के क्लाइंट की रिक्वायरमेंट के मुताबिक अपने प्रोग्राम को मॉडिफाई कर सकूं. सो यू राइट दी स्टेटमेंट्स इन दिस मैक्रो. लेट्स से ओके, एक मैक्रो आपने बना ली है, एंड you first comment out this macro, then it won't execute these statements. First आपने macro define नहीं किया, ये statement execute नहीं करेगा. Then आपने statement 5, 6, 7 execute होगी. Then किसी stage में जाके जब user कहता है नहीं program को आप further enhance करें, for example ये capability भी दिखाएं, then you know your client very well and you already put all these capabilities in your code, and then you just remove that comments from the OK macro, so it is defined in the program, and then it executes statement 1, 2, 3, 4, all those statements in the program. I will show you the example of this. So for example, we have so this is a small thing, just the program that takes 2 input number and show the integer results, and you are going to show this program to your client, and you also know that your client may want to see the result of subtraction, addition, subtraction, multiplication and division. So you write all these things in the macros, and the name of the macro is more result. ठीक है? So सबसे पहले आप दिखाने जा रहे हैं उसे program, and you just comment out the more macro define line. जहाँ पे आपने define किया हुआ है उसको आपने comment out कर दिया है. You compile the program and execute it. So you put input 2 integers 24 and 14, so it show the result is 38. Okay, the client says okay, but what if I want to include the capability of subtraction, division and multiplication in the program? Then so instead of writing the code over there, you say okay, I will show you. Compile and execute, enter 2 integer 28 and 14. So the result is addition is 42, subtraction is 14, multiplication is 392 and division is 2. So if you want कुछ part compilation का execute ना हो, you put that part in the macro like this. So if you define more result macro is defined above like this, now it is defined, then it executes these 3 statements. If this macro is not defined means you comment out this macros, no it is not defined, then these statements won't be executed. Similarly, you have a macro if not defined. It is the opposite. If this macro is not defined, let's see the result. So if not defined more results, then execute these three statements. So not defined, so more result macro is not defined here, so it execute these three statements. So let me define this macro. Now it won't execute these three statements. Compile and execute. So 24 and 12, so it didn't execute these statements because more result macro is already defined in the code. Okay? A sophisticated use of hash if defined has to do with making the program portable, that is to make them work on two totally different computers. For example, एक कंप्यूटर में आपके पास Linux इंस्टॉल है, एक में आपके पास Windows इंस्टॉल है. There are certain C statements जिनमें Linux का कोड डिफरेंट हो जाता है, फंक्शन कॉल डिफरेंट हो जाती है और Windows में डिफरेंट रहती है. ठीक है? So you said that okay, if define Windows, so if you want to execute this code in Windows, you have to define Windows win macro and uncomment. Just define win macro. Okay? So if win macro is defined, now this code is perfect to execute on the Windows operating system. So this is the code suitable for Windows and this is the code suitable for Linux. So if you want to execute the code in Linux, तो आप जो win macro है जो ऊपर define किया हुआ है उसको command out कर देंगे. So this means that that macro is not defined, so that code won't be executed. ठीक है? So hash if define win, do this statements, else execute this statements. Else में कब आएगा? जब win का macro define नहीं किया होगा, and you know what is defined and what is not defined. Okay, and this is end if. This is the end of this if, and this is the code common for both the computers, right? This is the end of our today's lecture. In today's lecture, we have write an example program using structure. And then we have seen what are the C preprocessor directive, we have seen macro expansion, file inclusion, and conditional compilation. That's it for the today's lecture. From the next lecture, we will starting our file IO chapter.